We have got some crazy breaking news that's going over a lot of people's heads because they don't understand the gravity of what's going on right now. Because many people, especially the conspiracy theorists and those that have been talking about it, have been talking about it, yelling from the rooftops for a very long time. And only recently has there been more of this being confirmed and publicly shared. But I believe it's not fully being exposed yet because it's still an ongoing operation. And the topic that I'm talking about is trafficking with all the children and all of the stuff that even is connected to Epstein, as well as everything going on underneath the surface, meaning subterranean warfare, invisible cities, if you want to call it, as well as other crazy global networking that's happening right now. So I'm going to go over a couple of key new news, some insights, some drops, and some other coded messages that I believe Trump and the team are telling us, but a lot of us that choose to research and choose to believe what he's saying between the lines, we have to discern carefully. So let's go over it. Let's talk about it. So within the last day, Trump and Kash Patel, FBI, as well as just the whole White House White Hat team, has announced something called Operation Summer Heat. Now listen closely to what he says.
And you see that in Washington, D.C., maybe better than any place because we got there. And within 12 days, it was very good. And within 30 days, it's been as safe as any city in the country. It's been great. Took out 1,700 people, got them out. These are career criminals in many cases and people that shouldn't have been allowed in by the Biden administration. Historically, the summer months have been a time when violent crime soar, as you know, but not under President Trump. Today, we're announcing the results of a sweeping law enforcement effort known as Operation Summer Heat. We were in many cities that people didn't know about. We kept it a little quiet, and it had a big impact, and you'll hear that in a second. But over the past few months, FBI offices in all 50 states made crushing violent crime a top enforcement priority. That's what they did, rounding up and arresting thousands of the most violent and dangerous criminals. And these are among the most dangerous and violent people in the world. They were allowed, in many cases, not in all cases, but in many cases, they were allowed in by a very foolish, actually stupid, open border policy.
So listen carefully to what he said. Number one, he said 1,700, or any homage to 17 means it's a reference to Q. People that have done, drops, anons, all of us know that. And he's overtly saying this out loud. Next, he said all 50 states. All 50 states means that this was a huge operation. It wasn't like a couple of cities. He went out of his way to say that they kept it a little quiet, that they were in many cities that people didn't know about, and this was done in secret. This was done many months ago, maybe during the beginning of his presidency in 2025, and going all the way to now, and whether it's being wrapped up or it's just being shown for strategic purposes to make sure that they're flushing out the rest of the people, who knows? But this is monumental. A lot of people don't understand how big this is in terms of confirming the conspiracy level stuff with regards to trafficking, even if you want to connect Epstein and all of this crazy stuff that is happening, basically, of the satanic order behind closed doors. Now, Kash Patel did tweet about this, saying that with regards to Operation Summer Heat, there were some stats here, and I believe the stats don't fully represent all of the crazy stuff, because remember, Q mentions that all of the stuff that's being presented to you, it's far deeper and greater and more evil than people realize, and to each their own. If you research and you understand, then your level of believability, your perception of reality can be expanded if you so choose to believe some of these things. And it's so bad that even Q and the White Hats mentioned that they have to give it in chunks, or they have to kind of downplay it because it's that evil. Here they're saying that there were, I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but a lot of arrests, 500 some children identified, firearms seized, fentanyl, all this. This is all digestible to the public eye because they're looking at it and they're saying, oh yeah, that's all criminal crime stuff. But I believe the level of the connectedness, the syndicate, is far greater and bigger than we can ever realize. And Kash Patel even announced the location of 5,400 children that are victims of these criminals. And Kash Patel retweeted this by, Eric Doherty here, but FBI has found and located 5,400 children. That's a 30% increase year to date over the last administration. Again, there's going to be a lot of politics, juxtaposing against Biden and all that stuff. And of course, they're going to continue saying things like fentanyl and the drugs, and rightly so. You have violent criminals and all this other stuff. But really, a lot of it is about the children. It's about rescuing the children from all of these, if you want to go as far as to say that they're undocumented or they have been living in subterranean underground cities and they're harvesting these people and they haven't seen the light of day. It's the level of craziness that you could possibly imagine if there was some kind of, sci-fi movie about this. But again, it can't just be overtly told in the sense of the public saying, oh, guess what? There's miles and miles of tunnels and cities underneath our big urban centers, and there's just tens of thousands of kids living there. That's not going to fly with the general public. And again, I'm not saying that that's exactly what the truth is. I'm saying that to the extent that they have to allow this to be digestible to the public, they are doing that to their best judgment. And what's crazy is around the same time, FBI Director Kash Patel also mentioned that they took down one of the largest global human trafficking and cyber fraud networks ever, and that this criminal empire was built globally on forced labor and lies, and they were crushing it. And if you look at some of the press release, they're talking about Cambodian forced labor. And again, this is one country. There's many countries involved, but specifically in this press release, they're talking about Cambodia. And what's crazy is that even in Korea right now, this is big trending news. It's Napchi, and specifically people are talking about Koreans being hauled away with regards to 취업 사기. So there's a lot of 사기치는 people from Cambodia, basically that are scamming people into job offers that are bringing these Koreans over. And this is just Korea, but there's of course many countries, but this is top of mind for us. But hundreds upon thousands of people are going missing. And this is people, everyday guys that are going missing. And this exposure is coming simultaneously to when Kash Patel, the White Hats, the Trump administration, and Koreans, as well as other people around the world, are talking about this. And specifically with regards to the cyber criminal stuff, this is their way to pay for and distribute money. The Trump team seizes $15 billion in Bitcoin from Cambodian cyber gang. And again, as part of that, it's the forced labor. There's a huge syndicate that is basically being uprooted, caught, and dealt with. And you got to also remember, Putin's special presidential envoy, Dmitriev, is dropping Q drops like crazy. He's talking about let the D-class begin, the unsealing begin, let the world witness the truth, specifying Q post 2478, literally talking about what it is that needs to be given up. And remember, only a week ago was Melania talking about children in Russia and cooperating and talking with Russia about what's going on with these children, especially in Ukraine or, all of the Eastern European area. And he, put this out on 1104, and that refers to COM 1104, talking about Podesta, which relates to children. So we're going to have to wait and see what that entails, but that's very interesting. And even Trump talking about speaking to President Putin right now and having a lengthy conversation about certain things. And what's crazy is that I'm actually just looking at this, but he gave an update here saying that the conclusion of his phone call with President Putin was good, very productive. But specifically, read what it says here. President Putin thanked First Lady Melania for her involvement with children, that he was very appreciative and said that this will continue. And that's absolutely crazy because this comes at a time for which there's new news, other news, like small news with other people. Bill and Hillary Clinton delayed depositions in House Oversight Panel's Jeffrey Epstein probe. Remember, all the comments, if you look on TikTok and just different places, the general public, they are crying wolf about releasing the Epstein files. When are we going to have more justice? When are we going to have more transparency? And all of this is being riled up for the, grand finale or the big reveal. But it's interesting that this is done within the past week, a few days ago. And it seems like just every other day or every other week, there's new news locally about crackdowns on human trafficking. Ohio, 135 arrested in a human trafficking sting. 230 arrested in major trafficking operation in Florida. 7 arrested, 5 victims rescued in Oxford human trafficking operation. This is in Mississippi. And then, of course, continual efforts by ICE. And if you remember that first video, he was wearing a yellow tie when he was announcing about this Operation Summer Heat. And a lot of people reminding us of post 2646 with regards to yellow. Remember, there's a lot of ways to connect certain cue drops and signs back to certain messages. Now, let me read the whole thing because it's very key and important what is being said here. Do you notice any similarities? D's and Democrats attempt to turn the public against our police, ICE, and those who continually serve the public interest, protect open borders with no immigration and customs officials to safeguard the people. Now listen to what it's saying. This is happening right now. This was posted back years ago in 2019 January, where it's saying that look, future proofs past. Look at what's being said. ICE and the media, everybody's turning certain people that are ideologically radicalized against the people that are here to protect the Americans, to protect the citizens. This is what's happening right now. EU government attempt to turn police against people, yellow vest protests. Again, this is where the yellow comes from in the sense of him signaling what might be coming here, or rather what's already happening. People versus police, EU. D's attempt to sway public versus police, ICE, US. So the public is being swayed to say, hey, these are evil. The police, the ICE, these guys are evil. A war against globalism. Again, this is what Q is saying to us is what's actually happening. This is a war of white hats against globalism. A war to retain sovereignty. Divide those who police and safeguard against the people they are sworn to protect. Chaos. Make the people fight themselves versus original targets. The old guard. Remember, the fake news is pushing racism, fascism, sexism, and any other kind of ism against those seeking to end globalism in favor of nationalism. Pride of heritage and culture, preservation of security and safety is designed to keep you submissive. All of this stuff designed to keep you submissive to the real issue, which is to end globalism. And I've talked about this whole idea of the elites, the deep state, whoever you want to call it. They want control of the world. That's why the other post that people are referring to, where China, Russia, US, what if they're working together to dismantle deep state because they don't want control? They have a common enemy. This is what's happening. And all these countries, whether you like Putin or Xi Jinping, Trump or not, they all agree globalism and the elite control of their countries is not good. And number two, the trafficking, all of this evil is not good. Remember, they want you divided, controlled, submissive sheep. Posse Comitatus Act. So I believe Trump here is signaling to us, again, what the key theme here is, as well as a heads up to what's happening. It's already happening, but what is to come in the near future. The stats on what was just released, whether Cambodia and globally and all this stuff, or with Russia, Ukraine, and the conversation with Putin, as well as what's being shown domestically with the FBI and this whole Operation Summer Heat, it's proof enough to say that something's happening with regards to the child trafficking, the human trafficking, and all that evil that's going on, and it's being dealt with by God, of course, but also through his servants, those that have stepped up. They took an oath. They want to get rid of this evil in society, and it's so deep-rooted that there's this syndicate, whether it's the financial stuff, the cyber stuff, as well as, I don't know, underground cities or tunnels or the ways that they're being funneled and moved. It's absolutely crazy. And all of that people say is conspiracy, but there's more proof today that this is being fought for, and there's a win happening, that we're on the right side of history. Keep praying, be educated, be informed, and stay tuned because a lot's happening and we're living through some great times. But again, it's being muted, it's being dampened by the mainstream media, but also it has to intentionally not be known too much because otherwise it may foil, distract, and kind of allow the actual operation to flop in some sense, or rather the effectiveness will not be as strong if they constantly be transparent about it and constantly talk about it, because they need to catch those that are double agents. They have to catch those that are in the act. So more to come, guys. Be blessed and be encouraged. If you guys want to support me, you guys know I am doing a fundraiser, givesengo.com/chrisyoonyt. It's down in the link below. We're almost at our goal. Just wanted to ask for your last bit of help. Thank you guys so much. Talk to you guys very soon.